I hope we are good. Okay, yes, we are live. So, first of all, a very good evening and welcome to all of you on the day 7 of Utter and Flutter 7-day long Flutter Bootcamp. And as you can expect, we are at the final day of our event, building a real world app with all the skills that we have learned so far during this duration of 1 week. Today, we have with us Aman Khan Rouhani and Suvit Sharma, and they will guide us how to build a real world app considering what we have learned before. Just before handing over the stage to them, let us again have a mention of all the partner communities that have been with us since this whole week to associate on this event. Those communities are nothing but our beloved Google Developer Student Clubs from different colleges, namely St. Vincent Pallotti College of Engineering and Technology, Sanjeevani College of Engineering, Cummins College of Engineering for Women, Nagpur, Government College of Engineering, Nagpur, Model Institute of Engineering and Technology, Jammu, and Institute of Technical Education and Research, along with them, Bajaj Institute of Technology, Wardha. So, again, a huge shout out to all of them. And without any further ado, let me hand over the stage to the speakers, and we may now begin. Over to you, Aman and Sumit.
Yes. Hi guys, good evening. Today we'll be starting with a hands-on of building a real-world app, small app you can say using a model view controller. So for those people who don't know what model view controller is, I'll be giving a short brief intro about it, how it is and how it works. Basically, there comes a time when you're building an app and there comes a time when there are so many functionalities and functions which you need to segregate. So whenever you're trying to build an app and you're adding more and more functionalities to them, then you need to segregate your code accordingly, because at future whenever changes you are being guided to do, that could be tough to do so for that, model view controller is like basically used in all of the software projects. So it's the base thing which is being used. So the same thing has come now to Flutter. So let me share the screen. Is my screen sharing visible?
Yeah, it's visible.
Visible, good. Okay. So here we will be using in our app this package called MVC pattern. So before going through that, I will tell you like what MVC does is. So there are so many things which we can handle while using MVC. It allows for easier and faster development and better maintainability. So here we are not adding anything new. We are just using MVC pattern, but for Flutter.
Excuse me, Aman. I think you have muted yourself.
Am I audible now?
Yes,
Am I
you are.
audible now, Suvit?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, okay. So I'll continue. There are so many features which MVC provides us with, whether it is error handling, system preferences, notifications, dialog box, loading screens. What does happen here is it uses the KISS principle, that is the KISS of Flutter frameworks, which tells it keep it simple state. So basically, this is an attempt to offer the MVC design pattern in an intrinsic fashion. So here what we'll be doing is we'll be separating all the things. Our functions will be in separate thing called controllers, and our whatever models we create, like whatever classes are there, will be separated with in a separate folder called models, and models controllers and there will be separate pages for API services for pages and all those things. But since we'll be doing some small hands-on, I'll be showing you how particularly the controllers work in MVC, and how it is very much necessary that you use this or any other framework which is available out there, which helps us solve this, and helps us maintain the code whenever the problem statements and new things change. So here when I see I get an example code, so I'll be taking this example code, and using that I'll be explaining you that how is the MVC controller in particular works in Flutter. So for doing that, we just copying this. So here I have already created an example project called MVC example. So before pasting the code and telling you the what that code does, first you need to understand how basic MVC structure works. So here what happens is, here is your stateless widget and here is your stateful widget, right? So basically in MVC, you have to replace it with some things. Now what things? So here, if you can see here, they are using the state MVC. So what this state MVC does is it tells Flutter that we are using this package in particular. Similarly here, extending state MVC. So what I'll be doing is, here is my stateful widget, and I'll be just adding in state MVC here. Now the package which we are using for it is this, that is MVC pattern. So this is the same package pattern link which I have opened in here. So we'll be using that package, and through that we'll be using controllers and all other things. So wait, let me close this up. Okay, so we'll be using this pattern, and due to this I have added the code here called state MVC. Now what it is he's saying, can't be returned from the method because it has a return type of state my homepage. To solve this thing, we need to come back again here, like what is actually happening, right? So here we are creating state, and yes, so this is our stateful widget, and here we are calling our my homepage state, and this is our state MVC being used. So without further ado, let's paste the code, then we will properly understand it actually what's happening. So I'll be removing the whatever the errors are here. Mm, it seems like we are missing some class here. Okay, let's try with another code. I think there seems to be a new update around this. So that is why some errors are coming in. So I'll be using my existing project to tell you about how this will work. Okay, so here we are. So this is like one of the project which I am working in, and here how MVC is used, we'll be talking about that. So I just want to make it simple. That is why I'm explaining with the existing code. So now here we are using this state MVC, and State MVC we can only use on a stateful widget. We can't use it on a stateless widget because it manages the state for us. So now how is it useful for us? So the main thing here to understand is the controllers. So what controllers do is from here in here we can add the functions, we can segregate the functions into a separate file, and we can use those functions, we can pass or we can call those functions from this file. So what will happen in this way is we'll be able to use them more easily. So I will tell you how a controller is being formed. First of all, you need to make a new file called with any name called news controller or anything. So here you need to call controller MVC for making the controller. So in the previous code which I was taking from example, maybe there might be some mixed things there. That is why the errors were coming in. So here what we are doing is we are creating a news controller, a controller for MVC, extending this extends the controller MVC. So here it's written your working class most concerned with the app's functionality. So we can add it to a state MVC object to associate with that state object. So here we are again calling it. Now here what we can do is we get the independence of segregating the code properly. That means whatever variables are here we can define and we can call in from there, and whatever functions we want we can add it here, and we can call it from there, right? So what happens here is uh, now we need to call these functions wherever we required, right? So for news, so for example there's this news simple. So here what we are doing is we are calling that function, but how? So we are like defining a controller for that first. So here this is our new state, and we have created a controller which is defined as a news controller. Now this variable which will be used to like access and identify the functions which will be used there. For example, I may take an example. This is the function which is being called con.check version. So here what is happening is this function is not in this file. This function is defined here. So what we are doing here is we are calling it from there. So it's like your code is not messy. Your functions are separate. You can call in them here and they will function in a same way there. Also, when we call it, this all the code will be like executed and it will show us. For example, here I'm checking if a particular update is available or not for an app. So for that, I'm taking sorry, I'm checking the response from an API and checking for a boolean called update required. So if this is true, then I am showing the pop-up that yes, update is required. If it is not, then I'm not showing that. So this thing is I'm calling from controller. So this is how it is being called. So not only controllers are being used, so there are many things. For example, there are models. So now what models are being used? For this thing, when we check the version, we fetch the app version from the server and match it if it is the minimum version or below that. So what the app version user is using. So this is a model class which I will show you. So this model class contains the data which will be coming in from the API, like what data will be coming in. So for example, here only this boolean value will be coming in, like update is required or not. So this thing we have added into the model, and here this is the model which we have created. So this is also being separate, right? And this is how we are checking the app version, that how what app version the user is using, and this is all being done using a controller, right? And I'll show you one more thing. So we can segregate our project into different structures, so that makes the project like more less messy. So here is my authentication, and here's my configuration. So just a minute. So with, am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are audible.
Hello.
Yes, you are audible.
I think he's facing some technical issues. Let him join back again. I don't see him yet. I'm still waiting. What? Okay, Aman Khan is facing network fluctuations here there. Sud, can you continue on what he was doing it already?
I think the project that he was explaining, he himself has it on our new access.
Okay.
But let's switch back to some another topic. Just give me a second,
Okay.
please.
Sure, sure. He's in the meantime, he's trying to get back in. No issues. Still waiting. Such kind of things keep happening, but it's okay. It's just a momentary stuff. We all face these technical issues. So can we cover the MVC package of Flutter in the meantime? Like we are already working on it on this project, so to not waste time and like we can make use of it. Or perhaps something else that can be supportive to this project.
Yeah, I'm looking for some small project that I can explain in meantime. Just a minute, please. Please bear
Sure,
with me.
sure. Okay. In the meantime, I would like to ask our audience, like, what do you have learned so far, and what you will be doing next with the skills you have learned? Like, many of us might have those tiny side projects that we always want to build, and we kind of didn't knew how to build them in a particular technology, and now you have because we have spent like around a week in Flutter. So, what are you thinking about it? Like, I don't see much of a response yet. Seems like all private startups might come up next. That will be more interesting. That's a strange time. We are waiting for the issues to get fixed quick. I know waiting is difficult, but there is no good thing that comes without bit of patience. Seems like taking a while a bit. Okay, we have Anand back here. Yeah,
So
so
guys,
happy to see you again.
so we'll continue where we left off.
Sure, sure, sure. Please share a screen and we will just add it.
Sure.
Awesome. Here's the stream and we are live. Awesome.
Okay. So yes, we were on to controllers. We have completed controllers, completed models. Now we'll be moving on to the services part here. So I'm covering MVC as well as project structure here. So here, when we come to the services part, you can see I have a file named API services.dat. So here, what I'm doing is whatever the API calls are there, uh, all the API calls are here. So these API calls I'm calling in from my news file again. Now you might be wondering, these functions should be on the controller, right? So why are they here? So here comes the another aspect of segregating code. Your business logic should always be inside the controller. So whatever the business logic, by business logic I mean whatever the app logic is there, like what you want the app to respond when a user clicks on a particular section or a button, then you need to add those functions in controller. So as you can see here, majority of functions which I have created does not do an API call. So for API call, what I have done is I have a separate section here called API services, where I have already mentioned what the base URL I'll be using, what the headers I'll be using. Okay, and these are the functions which I'll be calling in. For example, if I want to fetch news, I will be calling this function. So where are these functions being called? So these are being called in news file. So here this is the function called load APIs. So here what I'm doing is I'm calling this API services class which I've already made in here. So I'm calling this function called fetch news with no token. So this, I am not using any controller for this here. I'm just calling it from the API services file. So now when controller is required, when you need some business logic to be separated and to be called, then you call the controller, right? So here I'll be also telling about like you need to have a separate folder or directory of about what configuration you'll be using in your application. So by configuration I mean whatever the colors, the fonts, and whatever the constants value which you are being using, which would be shared throughout the app. So here when we go through this folder, we have these files colors dart, wherein I have specified different types of colors which I am being using in this particular app. And we have another file called constants, wherein I have specified the different environment constant which I'll be using. For example, here I am using my base API for like the what things I am using for release, what thing I am using for like under development, like UAT. So here, whatever the constants, whatever the things are here, these are being shared throughout the app. That means I can access it from any part of the screen. Like if I'm here, I can access the slide constants. For example, if I type in here slide constants, okay, I first need to import it, I think. What is, okay, okay. So we haven't initialized them, that's why it is not taking them. So we can take another example, which is this variable called shows error. So this is defined in here in constant. So when I'll be using this here, it will take it. So see here, you can see string shows error, which is coming from configuration and constants file. So what this helps us here is we can access these variables from any part of like here, and we can manipulate also them, but we can't manipulate the constant variables like these or like these. So as I told you, let's hop in back to the services part. So here we are doing the API call. So all the API call things is in services. All the configuration thing will be in configuration folder. All the things related to authentication will be in authentication folder, wherein we have like login sign up things, the welcome OTP, whatever the things are required for authentication. So what I'm trying to convey is we need to segregate everything which we are building. When we are like in the middle of the when we have make the application more robust and scalable and we are adding more features there, then we need to separate it through all the things. For example, here as you can see, I have segregated this widget called drawer. So this is not like nothing is there, but for example purpose I'm showing you. So here this is my custom drawer. Now what is a drawer? A pop-up menu which comes in from right. So this drawer I'm using, and this widget I can use it from anywhere. So I have segregated this. For example, what could be the case is I may need this drawer in like 4 to 5 screens, right? So I need to code again and again for this widget. Due to that, I have segregated it into a particular widgets folder. So similarly, these things are necessary here in controller. Okay. So I'll be again moving on to the part where we are specifying this. Okay. So here, as you can see, here we can only use one controller for a particular screen. For example, this is my news file. So I can use only one controller for it. I cannot assign multiple controllers. Of course, inside this controller, I can extend another controller which I have made. That could be done. That is possible. But in one particular screen, we can only assign one controller, and we can then use it. So, like before moving forward, I would like to know if you people have any confusions regarding MVC, and if you people have any doubts about
what it is. So I think no one has any doubts as of now. So okay. Now I'll be moving on to the main feature of Flutter, which is being used nowadays and will be required in the upcoming releases. That is null safety. So I'll be talking about null safety. So what is actually null safety? So when we go through the Flutter doc about what null safety is, let's see what we find. So we are being telling here said that we need to migrate this to null safety, and I think they have not provided proper documentation in the front so that the people can know. So I'll be telling you about that. So here, this question tag which you can see, uh, this tells that this variable can be null, can take any value, or can be null. Both things can happen. Now what happens if I remove this? Then this means that I'm telling that this variable cannot be null. It will always be non-nullable. So by default, Flutter variables will now be by default non-null. That means they can't be null. So uh, if you want to uh, say that a variable, okay, that variable can be null, you need to assign this symbol for that, which tells Flutter, okay, this variable is now can be null, so the exception would not come. So to reduce the runtime exception, Flutter has come up with that concept of null safety. Now here there might be one another case wherein we don't know uh, that this value can be null or not. We are assuming that this value uh, can be null. Okay. So but at particular point, that at a particular point we don't want that value to be null. So basically, for example, if you take, there are 5 screens, and in 4 screens, if this value is null, it will be okay. But in the fifth screen, if this value will come, that will not be okay, because if the token would not be there, that request would not be accepted. For that, what we can use is we use this parameter exclamation mark. So what that exclamation mark tells Flutter is that in this part, this token value cannot be null. Okay. So we are telling that this variable can be null in other parts, but this cannot be null in this part. So these are the operators which like Flutter has introduced in null safety. And by default, if you are using sound null safety, then by default, those variables will be non-null. If you provide with them with a symbol of like question tag, then you are saying that yes, it can be null. So if anybody has any doubts regarding what null safety is and how it works, please you can ask. So let me see. Okay. So I'll again re-summarize and conclude it. So here the variable by default, if I remove this variable by default will be non-null. That is why we are getting errors here. So here it is saying the exclamatory mark will have no effect because the receiver can't be null. So because we are telling that this variable cannot be null. So by default, I have enabled sound null safety. So that's why it is throwing that. So to reduce those null type exceptions, we are using null safety here, right? And if I again add it, then those warnings will go, because I'm telling that yes, those values can be null. So this is how null safety would work. And there's one more thing I would like to tell you about, is of the controllers, the variables. the whatever variables, for example here it is news controller, whatever variables we are specifying, if we need them at a later time, for example there are some things which we need to prioritize. For example, if we are opening a particular app screen, we need to prioritize what things we need to show first, what things are more necessary and what things are less necessary, like if they can load after some time. So for those things what we do is we use the late constructor here. So what this late tells us that okay, initialize easily, like it's like a lazy constructor, lazy variable, you can say, initialization, wherein we tell Flutter okay, you can take time to initialize it, you can take time to open it. So this is why we use this particular parameter in Flutter, in Dart. So I told you this because these things are new only in Flutter, only in Dart, and are not being used anywhere else. So this was the null safety which I was talking about. And you guys have any issues with how null safety works, please let me know. Okay, so I'll conclude again. We started from MVC pattern, and we got to know about how controllers work, how we need how it is important to segregate your code. Everything should be properly segregated, and how null safety works, right? And how models work. So these are the things which we need to know when we are working on a project. So you can use another techniques also to build projects aside from MVC. You can use like there are different like GetX is also there, provider, and other um techniques and patterns which you can use while building the application. But for starting purpose, MVC will be more easy for you, because here this whole concept of controller gives you a freedom to like write your business logic separately and move on more easily. So yes, if anyone has any issues or any doubts, please let me know about that. Okay. Suvit, you would like to add anything?
No, I think it's almost done. It's good.
Okay. Okay, Anmol, I'm done.
Okay, Aman, that's great. I think we have reached the final point of this complete week-long event. And now, I again thank all of the speakers. Thank you, Aman Khan Rouhani. Thank you, Suvit Sharma. Thank you, Himanshu Pokade. And thank you, Karan, for making this complete event uh, happen and happen at such a great way and covering all the aspects in just a short span of a week. And with that being said, I just want to share the feedback and quiz link for today. And here it is on the screen. I will post the same on the chat as well. And I request all of you to please attempt the quiz because that will help us to give you the certificates for the workshop. Also, there have been seen a few issues regarding the quizzes, so please reach out to us at gtgnagpurofficial@gmail.com and we will sort out the issues that you have regarding the quizzes, even if you missed any of those. And I think apart from it, there's nothing much left to talk about, and we are good to wrap. So I now declare the 7 days long Utter and Flutter workshop concluded with a success. Okay. Thank you so much, Aman. Thank you so much, Suvit. Uh, let's end the broadcast in 3, 2, 1. Bye bye.